So this, ladies and gentlemen, is the Constantin Vice. It's an automatic men's wristwatch, not a rather classy one, but with an uninspiring name and brand, if you ask me. I don't know if you are familiar with the story of what these watches represent, but I suspect since you've stumbled upon my video, you are actually either curious or a fan of the watches. They're not so widespread, and while limited edition models is another way of saying they're, well, they're rather made to order, or at least the maker is having a bit of a hard time selling them, but also presents itself as a boutique alternative, albeit a cheap one. Whereas, I don't know, Swiss wristwatches closer to tens of thousands of euros, I'm exaggerating of course, but you get the idea. Under 3,000 euros you're not going to get anything of importance from a Swiss watchmaker. This Constantin Weiss actually was supposed to be about 1,000 euros when new, and now you can get it secondhand for about 200 to 300 euros or so, depending on the condition, the model, the specification, and so on. But before I get too caught up in the specifics of this model, let's have a look at its construction. Now let me just remove it from this decorative show pillow here, which I got from my Ryan wristwatch, because this thing did not come with a case. It's a rather interesting story behind it, or at least I like to think so. I stumbled upon this auction on eBay, and well, you get the idea. It started at about €1 or so, and to my surprise, I bid something for it, not too much. I believe about I don't know, 30 euros at the beginning, and then I slowly gathered interest in it, and well, I won the auction for 42 euros and 50 euro cents. And with shipping, it was about 49 euros, which is, well, for this kind of watch, less than 50 euros is a real bargain. Now, let's talk the construction for a bit, and I will try to zoom in on the watch itself and, well, show you a bit of what's what. So things to like about this watch: at 45 millimeters, the diameter is sufficient for a man's hand, and since this case is made to be ergonomic with the wearer's hand, I think the dimensions are not an issue here. Even my small thin wrists are not an issue for this type of watch. You can see it compared dimension wise next to my Huawei GT2 Pro smartwatch, and well, anyway, it's a good dimension. Another thing to note is the quality of the dials and the markings inside, under the crystal and inside the dials. It's actually exquisite. Third thing to note about this watch is the rose gold plating on the top of the, well, the bezel, the housing, and all the crown and all the metal things, especially this rather fetching satin finish on the sides with the bezel all over the crystal having a polished look. But really, other than that, this watch does not impress me. Why do I say that? Now, this watch is really not my taste, even though in the photos, it was actually a great perspective and a great purchase. Now, what I mean by that is, well, even though I'm not an avid watch collector, I do own some important pieces, subjectively speaking, from my point of view. They range from stealthy to a bit trendy, from high-tech to traditional, from gadgets to occasional wear pieces. However, this rose gold tinted affirmation of fall wealth and gaudy style is really not to my taste. I shall be putting it in on my hand just for show, but really there is only one word which I would use to describe this watch, and that is tacky. It's not modern enough to overcome its wealth aspirations, and it's not stealthy enough to go unseen and to be considered, I don't know, an haute couture piece, something interesting and, well, tasteful and so on, at least in my eyes. Now, I'm no expert in this, and it's not a criticism of the watch itself, it's just my observation, and since you've stumbled upon my channel, I'm pretty certain you want at least an honest opinion, if not objectively valid one. So yeah, those are my 2 cents. Now, other than that, I do like the mechanism, the fact that this balancer unit is shown through the steel casing, and it has an additional screen here. I do appreciate the fact that it's a sapphire crystal on top, which means it's basically scratch proof unless you hit it over a rock or something like that. And well, it's a minimal wear and tear in terms of usage, but it does show its age. The strap or the bracelet should be replaced at some time. Even though it's not looking that bad, it's seen better days, and well, at least this clasp is still original. I don't know if you can see it here, but let me just try to focus. So yeah, the clasp is original. The back plate on this watch, the back lid, is in excellent condition. There is minimal wear and tear, some sort of scuffs and marks, but they're surface-like, and it seems that whoever owned this watch has taken good care of it. The crown is also in good condition, and it can easily be adjusted to your likes and requirements. So yeah, there's I don't know, the pseudo review of this watch. Now, in terms of mechanism, this is supposed to be a 22 jewel dual time wristwatch, which honestly, I apologize for this, but I really have no clue as to what that refers to, other than the obvious self-explanatory information which I have just rendered upon to you. Now, I'm not going to go too much into detail about the mechanism and the self-explanatory title of 22 joules automatic dual time zone wristwatch, as I have no competence to delve into such details. I'm not a wristwatch repair guy or whatever. I'm not a watch specialist. I just like weird and quirky obsolete tech stuff. But before I close this video, I would like to point out the value. So I got this thing for 50 euros. For this amount of money, it is actually a steal. Now, suggestions of value online say that this should be between $150 and $400, which I think it's a stretch, but it's safe to say that this would be worth 150 euros all day long, at least according to recent transactions on eBay or Etsy or stuff like that. Now on the plus side, this one, this actual model has not been tampered with. You can see that it's been well maintained, though I am pretty certain it could do with a bit of maintenance and preventative, I don't know, checking of the mechanism and so on. However, this is a rather fortunate situation for me, as usually I just hoard, collect and purchase weird and obsolete tech stuff, so you don't have to. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye.